welcome to the Evolution of Mom podcast. We are your hosts, Amy and Charisse, and we hope you enjoyed our first episode where we introduced ourselves, shared a little bit about our stories, and how the mom evolution came to be. For today, we want to talk about overwhelm. Are you living in a constant state of overwhelm? As moms, we usually do.
The answer is probably yes. Overwhelm, a state of living in survival mode. I think all women at any stage in their life have felt this, have experienced this, have lived in overwhelm, maybe without even knowing it. Yeah. We tend to get very good at living in overwhelm, living in survival mode without recognizing it. We function very well that way. I wouldn't say well, maybe well's the wrong word, but we do function in it. And for a long time.
We get comfortable functioning in it.
We get comfortable. That's what it is. We get comfortable functioning in it to a point where we don't even know it's happening. It's just our life. And I think a lot of women play it off as normal, for one. So I think, again, one of my favorite sayings is just because it's common doesn't make it okay or normal. Yeah. Right? And I think we get into a space as women where it's almost like positively looked upon. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm doing all of this. I'm here. I'm just so busy. I'm so busy. How many times do you hear women say that all the time? Yeah. And then we praise them for it.
Yeah. It's like the hustle culture, right? If you're not hustling as hard as me, then you must be not doing things right.
Yes. Which that happens between moms. Oh, I'm busier. I have this. I have this. And it comes off as a positive. When really, I think if we were to ask ourselves on the inside, does it feel positive? Does it feel good? Or are you friggin' tired?
Yeah. And I feel like in that overwhelmed state, we're in a really reactive state. You can't really control your environment that much. You can't respond. You just react without thinking. And that's the hardest part because it's, to me, the best analogy of looking at like overwhelm is a tea kettle. It starts to simmer and you see it like just getting hot. You feel it getting hot. And then all of a sudden the bubbles start like coming out. So you start like reacting a little bit more. And then all of a sudden it's spilling over, which you might have a big blow up fight with your partner. You might yell at your kids. Like it just kind of bubbles over, blows over and like burns everybody around. Mm-hmm. So for me, I didn't really recognize that I was overwhelmed. And I think I've spent most of my life living in that survival mode, that overwhelmed mode. It got 100 times worse as a new mom. I remember leaving the hospital, and even in the hospital, I was stressed. But I left the hospital and I felt like I was almost stealing somebody's baby. Like, I was like, you're not going to give me a manual with this. You think that, like... I'm perfectly capable of like keeping this thing alive. Like,
you're just letting me go.
Just letting me go. Like creeping out the doors. I'm like, you're going to stop me, right? You're going to stop me? No? Okay. And then all of a sudden I was at home and I was alone and I had this newborn baby that, I was never really around or exposed to, and tired, stressed out. Your body doesn't feel good. Everything just kind of bubbles over. And I remember there were moments where I'd like just sit there and cry. Mm-hmm. Or I just didn't want to get out of my sweatpants or anything like that. I'd just be like, I don't even know. But it was just so much, right? Like, and I think in society today, because we all kind of do this on our own instead of having community, it's really, really hard. And you see all these like social medias of the like perfect moms, and everybody's just, so look at how cute my baby is today.
Look at me in a picture with my new baby and real pants on. And what is that?
Done makeup and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like,
was not me.
I'm in the same outfit with like spit stains on for like 5 days in a row. I'm like, I can't even think about doing my hair, and I don't remember the last time I had a shower.
Yeah.
Or slept.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time this tiny human wasn't so attached to me that I could even go have a moment of self-care, let alone put on real pants.
Yes. I But that it's such a stressful scenario because you think that you're doing it wrong. You think that you should have a clean house, and you think that you should be able to get everybody fed and somehow still sleep at the same time, and then still enjoy every single moment and make sure you're taking pictures. Like, it's so much, and it was so much so that it actually ended up throwing me into a state of postpartum depression. And I just got into this really, really dark, heavy spot. But it's shown up in and out of my life, and I know that, like, I get into moments even now where I struggle with overwhelm. It's such a hard thing to recognize because I almost don't recognize it till it's too late.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most common examples for women is when you come home with a newborn baby. Not even just with your first, with your second, with your third, however many humans you have.
I somehow thought it would be better the second one around.
I know, and people tell you that. People literally say, oh, it's just so much easier. Once you have one, you can have two. And I've had people tell me, oh, now that you have two, you can have three easy. I'm like, no. Fool me once. With now you have one, now another one's easier. Like, no, now you have an infant where you're still not sleeping, still doing all of those things, and a toddler to keep alive. That's overwhelming.
Oh.
Right? I think it is. It's one of the best examples of being overwhelmed as a woman. And when we get asked, we feel like we have to answer in a way of, I'm great. This is so beautiful. I'm enjoying this so much. And you are. That's not that it's not true. Yeah. But we tend to not dive into those conversations.
We're too scared to say that it's hard.
That's right. And we fear judgment. Yeah. We fear judgment of saying, this is hard. I don't know if I'm doing okay. I don't know if I'm having the feelings I'm supposed to be having. And you said earlier, which I loved, is that kind of conversation needs to be normalized. We need to feel safe to communicate those needs and those emotions, and to get out of that's how you get out of that state of overwhelm. But I mean, we weren't there at all. I can 100% relate to feeling overwhelmed when my kids were little and newborn and all of those things, but not recognizing it in the moment. Yeah. I can recognize it now, for sure, but I would never have taken the time to evaluate that and sense it in that moment. But I was completely overwhelmed when my kids were little.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but like being a mom is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done.
Literally the hardest.
I mean, this was relatively easy compared to being a mom.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done some hard things in my life, and I've been through some stuff. Yeah. Being a mom is the hardest, and it is the best, though.
It is. It's so rewarding and fulfilling.
It is. It's so beautiful.
It is a hard journey, and that recognizing overwhelm, like I know for me, even still, like I don't recognize it easy. Mm-hmm. How do you recognize it? Like, do you have certain triggers that you start noticing?
Yeah, for me, I have come to notice that I get overwhelmed very easily when I say yes to too many things. I like to say yes. I like to say yes to everybody. I like to say yes to doing all of the things. And when it comes down to it, it's when I'm giving without giving back to myself. Mm-hmm. When I'm giving to others so much without pouring back into my own cup. I'm giving from an empty cup. And when that cup gets empty, that's when my overwhelm sets in. Yeah. That's a big one for me.
Very similar.
Yeah. And when I'm saying yes to too many things that aren't aligned with my goals, aren't aligned with my core values, but I'm still saying yes to them anyways, it's because I'm putting out too much. I'm putting out too much and not taking anything in for myself. That's when my overwhelm sets in. Yeah.
Like that coffee date or whatever that you said yes to, but you really didn't want to go because it's somebody that's just like super negative and drags you down. Yeah.
But you feel obligated to go. You haven't seen them in a while, right? Those are the kind of things that I would 100% always say yes to, because, you know, there's so many reasons why we say yes, right? There's so many reasons. And I know we'll get into that at some point, but like, what would you say are some of your signs that you're getting overwhelmed? What shows you that you're in a state of overwhelm?
Yeah. So for me, some of my biggest things that I notice when I'm starting to get over is I start to check out. Yeah. I'll start grabbing my phone a little bit more, and my kids will be like asking me questions, but I am not even listening to them because it's been so much. I also find like, I need that extra glass of wine at night, and or there's like this that checkout that go to Netflix, or that just constantly trying to find something to numb and something to do because I don't want to actually sit with my feelings.
Mm-hmm. So like a state of like avoidance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I relate. Again, I get into that stage of doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done too much of everything. Now I can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm literally doing nothing. Like the kids are surviving, I'm surviving, and that's it.
Yeah. If it goes on long enough, like I there's no getting out of my sweatpants or getting out of bed. Like I'm just gonna like wrap up in this blanket and hide from the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no chance of real pants when when you're past the point of overwhelm. It's like, no, these sweatpants are my life now.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness. 100%. Okay. So what is some advice you could give on recognizing overwhelm, and how can we get out of it?
So self-awareness is the big key here. But I mean, back when I was like really suffering from overwhelm, and even now, like being that self-aware is hard a lot of times to recognize it, especially when you're in that state or in that moment. So one of those things that I really try and do is to find quiet moments throughout my day. I really incorporated a morning routine that is like my time, and it's a sacred time for me. But yes, spending that time, getting quiet, recognizing what's kind of going on with you, how you're feeling, whether you're feeling like you're being pulled in so many directions. I know for me, I feel it really internally when I'm overwhelmed. I start to feel like I'm constricted, or it starts to feel heavy.
Mine's heavy.
Yeah. And it's just like, whoa, why can't I accomplish like these simple tasks that I want to accomplish? So I like to ask myself questions, right? Why can't I get to these tasks?
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying yes when I really want to say no? How many people am I saying yes to? Am I saying yes to things that are aligned with who I want to be? Or am I prioritizing the right things?
Mm-hmm.
So also developing that list of like, these are my priorities. This is where I want to focus my attention, and stop giving your attention to everything and have more of like a clear direction for that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love all of that. I mean, self-awareness, I think, is key. And I know that our goal is to develop with our listeners, like, their sense of self-awareness. We're still on the journey of, developing ours. We're still on a journey of a lot of things. We're actually really excited to grow along with you in all of these things. In fact, we're still growing our podcast skills. As you can tell, we're going to get better and better with all of this. But even like, I've got a new microphone coming on Monday because my sound is different than your sound.
Yes.
So
all
of these things. But self-awareness is a big goal. It's a big goal, and all it is a skill. It's a skill to slowly start to develop and ask yourself questions, all of these things that you said. I loved that so much. That was really good.
Taking that space, right?
Taking that space. So if you take anything from today's episode, we really want you to start taking moments of self-awareness. So if you can take a minute or two a day for yourself where you're by yourself, have a moment of quiet. And if you're a mom, I know this can be very challenging, but there are moments, maybe like Sharice and I both, right? And the mom guilt. This is why we're starting off with baby steps. Because if someone said to me, oh, take hours of your day, have a bath, this and this, I would have been like, are you insane?
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. So we're going to start with minutes, right? Minutes. You and I are now up to, having some deep self-care time in our day. But we had to work through that guilt because we'll share that with you guys soon on why that's so important. But we definitely encourage you, even if it's just 2 minutes for the day, take some quiet space to just self-evaluate. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? How am I reacting? Am I impatient? Am I being this and this? Is my kettle starting to boil over?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of things we've said today have been the boil over stage. And then what happens if you keep letting it go? The pot becomes empty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where you don't want to be. You don't want to be having an empty teapot, an empty cup, because you will keep giving from that space. And it's not what's best. It's not what's best for you. It's not what's best for your loved ones, for your children, for your spouse, for your friends around you, to have you giving from that space of emptiness.
Yeah.
And we know you're all really used to being there. We're used to being in that state of overwhelm, giving from an empty cup. And so our goal is to really help you and give you tangible tools to learn to fill your own cup up. And this is one of the ways to start doing that. Moments of self-evaluation.
So important to be taking those moments every single day. Whether you find it when the kids just go to bed, sometime during the day, you'll find it. But just, give yourself a couple minutes, check in with yourself.
Check in.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy that you're here. If you found value from this episode, it resonated with you, please share it on your social media or with your friends. And remember to not forget. Don't forget to put yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. We would love to have you as a part of our community. So come follow us on Instagram. We also do Zoom calls at the end of every month within our community where we can have a more intimate, safe space to connect, talk, and also always feel free to reach out. We would love to hear from you. If you need someone to talk to you or someone to hold space for you for what you're going through, we would love to be that space for you. Charisse and I are doing free half-hour calls with people to just create that bond, to create connection, and to, like I said, have that safe space for you, because sometimes we don't have that within our life. We don't have the space to talk about the things that we need to talk about or feel comfortable talking about our struggles, and we would love to hold that space for you. We also want to give a huge shout out to Kevin and Alan from the Next Level University. This would not be a thing without them. Their podcast and business coaching has been so valuable. We love you guys so much. And our next episode is going to be all on self-care. Self-care is not selfish, it is selfless, and we can't wait to give you guys all of that information and tangible tools that are going to help you move out of this state of overwhelm.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.